What's happening, betters? Welcome into this week's episode of Dolan's Deep Dive, a weekly weekend show where I'm going to try and endeavour to highlight some of the best betting spots and some of the more overlooked sports in the market: boxing, rugby, lower league soccer, and so on. So stick around as we feature some of the best bets to be had on the card for this weekend. Now, turn our attention over to this weekend's boxing card. I don't have a lot of action personally, just a few 1% underdog shots, which I'll give out in just a couple of minutes. In terms of the big fights, though, Cacace versus Wood, I think is pretty much spot on from a numbers perspective. I do like Anthony Cacace, a good Belfast man as well, to get the win in this one. I actually think he's the better overall boxer of these two fighters as well. Wood can be a little bit stiff at times, a little too predictable, but as we've seen numerous times, throughout the last couple of years, he can crack. So I do expect the Apache to win on Saturday night, but at minus 250 right now, it's just a little bit too high for me to get involved. Liam Davies versus Kurt Walker is another interesting fight as well. Big step up for Kurt Walker on Saturday night, and the current odds of plus 320. Potentially could be a bit of value there if you fancied betting on a big underdog. In terms of bets I've actually fired on for this weekend, however, I did take a 1% shot with Zaur Abdullayev, pronunciation might be off there, to win by decision at plus 550 over Raymond Muratalla. I know it's a long shot, obviously, but Abdullayev is better than advertised here. Very tricky customer in the ring. Has some solid wins on his resume as well. Nothing groundbreaking, but some durable names on that resume of his. So a plus 550 to win by decision. That does entice me in here for a small 1% play. The other bet I took a long shot on this weekend is an Ezra Taylor Charlie Suarez parlay at plus 493 over on FanDuel. Actually, I picked that up. Fully expect Ezra Taylor to beat Troy Jones over in the UK, likely by stoppage as well. He's had an impressive opening few years across his career so far. And even though him and Jones know each other quite well, built up a friendship, I nonetheless do expect Taylor to get the job done on Saturday. I paired that selection up with a long shot in Filipino Charlie Suarez to beat Emmanuel Navarrete this weekend as well. Charlie Suarez, extensive amateur pedigree, multiple gold medals out in the Asian Games. Hasn't done a whole pile in the pro ranks across his 18 fights so far. But it's been rumoured for weeks now that Navarrete could struggle to make weight here. That was confirmed by Dan Raphael, among others, during the recent weigh-in, that Navarrete was forced 3 different times back to the scale. And that when he finally did hit 130 on his third attempt, to quote Raphael, he looked like a dead man. So I already bet Suarez last week, well before the weigh-in. I thought the odds were just too wide. Even take away, the whole weight issue. Suarez is a decent fighter. He does have, like we said, that amateur pedigree. But those weight concerns have obviously added a bit extra to that long shot at this point. So Ezra Taylor, Charlie Suarez parlay plus 493. I think that's another big price for Saturday, so well worth 1%. Switching over to rugby for this weekend, and we have a great underdog. We had a great underdog win, I should say, on Bordeaux on last week's show, plus 108. I believe we gave that one out at they both raced to lose in the second half of that game. And for this week, I have a 4% best bet up in the English Premier for Saturday's card. But in terms of Sunday, I like the Exeter Chiefs minus 9.5 currently to win and cover at home against the Northampton Saints in the English Premiership. This is just a bad situational spot for Northampton on Sunday. They're coming off that historic win against Leinster last week in the Champions Cup. Really had to ride it out across the last 15 minutes of that game as well. And they have a huge European final on deck now in 2 weeks as well against the aforementioned Bordeaux. So this game this weekend means a lot more to Exeter than it does to Northampton, obviously. I think we honestly see a bit of a horse attempt from the Saints in this one. I don't think they show up at full strength. So yeah, free play for Sunday in rugby. Take Exeter Chiefs minus 9.5 to win and cover at home against the Northampton Saints. Make sure and lock that in before it crosses past 10, obviously. Key number there. Before we get into this Sunday soccer selection, just want to highlight what's going on over at Wagertalk right now. Again, just as I have been all season, number one in MLB. It's been a phenomenal ride, and to make sure as many people get an opportunity to ride with us as possible, you can get $100 off my 30-day all-access pass for a limited time when using code DOLAN30, DOLAN30. So make sure and lock that in before it expires on the 20th of May. Return our attention back over to soccer for this Sunday and heading straight for the Danish Superliga. this weekend. Relegation group. Sonderseik at Silkeborg again. Probably forgive my pronunciation for any Danish viewers out there. Silkeborg in the first half are going off at minus a quarter goal right now, minus 135. I like that price for Sunday. Sonderseik have been a defensive mess pretty much all season. They allowed a league worst 51 goals at the back in 22 games during the regular part of the season. Things haven't improved all that much for them in the relegation group either. They've allowed at least 2 goals in all of their last 3 previous matchups. So while Silkeborg on the other side have struck inside the first half multiple times in some cases, but in all of their 3 previous starts as well. So give me a piece of Silkeborg minus a quarter in the first half on Sunday against Sonderseik minus 135 in the Danish Superliga. That'll do it from me for this week's show. Let me know what you guys down below are betting in terms of your own bets. And as always, if you enjoyed the content, please hit that like button. It's always very much appreciated. And until next time, Slán Bhfuil, best of luck on all your bets.